Welcome to the Power of Greats. I'm your host, Matt Crane, and every single week I come to you right here on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, and Pandora with one simple mission in mind. That's to help you recognize that your current situation is not your defining moment. And this week, we got my man Rob Fajardo in the building.
Rob is
a millennial thought leader to watch, under 25, founder of Leave Normal Behind, a global movement that inspires others to become the best versions of themselves and create things that matter. He's an advisor for Founders, which is a social media impact accelerator in Newark, New Jersey, founded by the ultra-talented serial entrepreneur, world-famous Gerard Adams, that helps entrepreneurs accelerate their startup in a 12-week program. You know, Rob helps purpose-driven people build and scale their business or brand, and he also writes and contributes for the Huffington Post and Influensive.com. You got to look for massive growth from 2017 as they scaled the events portion of Leave Normal Behind, and he asserts himself as an authority in thought leadership, tech, startup space, and as a serial entrepreneur leading the next wave of millennial world changers. Rob Fajardo, welcome to the Power of Great, my man.
Let's go, bro. Today's a great day to be great, Matt. I appreciate you to have me on. Dude, I'm ready to go, bro. I'm ready to go.
Awesome. You know, Rob, you and I, we've talked over the last couple months, and, you know, to be under 25, you know, be that golden age of millennials, you almost have a baby boomer like old grind to you, right? Like you understand you have a purpose to lead millennials and kind of take away that entitled stigma and lead them to a more purpose-driven life. You know, what was it for you that when did you just wake up one morning and said, you know what, I got to help millennials get better?
Well, Matt, I really appreciate that. And one, just very, very appreciative that you could see that wisdom that extends, you know, past the age. So just to be clear, I'm 23, just turned 23 in December. And I really think that's testament to mentors and books. People really, 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 millennials, and I'm even seeing an older generation of multimillionaires that do not appreciate books in the way that they do. In the age of information, this is what I believe, in the age of information, staying ignorant is a choice. You have Google, we have YouTube, we have so much information, you could literally type in anything you want. And wisdom, that's one of the things I learned just before we go into like Leave Normal Behind and all these things is people have already done this shit before. People have already come, the most brilliant minds have already been here and written all of the answers. They've literally written so many incredible things, and they just pack it up into books. So this actually ties in to around my sophomore year at Amherst College. That's really when Leave Normal Behind started. I'm 23, just turned 23, like I said. So I graduated last May at the time of this podcast. And it really came from the thought originally of this quote I had read, which is, man is heir to all wisdom hidden within the covers of great books. Man is heir to all wisdom hidden within the covers of great books. And at the time, I didn't read. I didn't like reading. I was a slow reader. I did not really appreciate reading. And I just really thought to myself, I was like, you know, standing in the library, I was like, if I could touch, you know, each one of these books and get all this information, would I do it? I was like, of course you would. You know you should have information. It'll help you out. Be more, do more. And then I was like, well, what would prevent me from doing that? All the limiting beliefs I just told you. I hate reading. School that teaches me not to read. Like, I have to read every word. I don't know how to read the proper way. I've never really read something that I like. But then I thought to myself this other quote, which is, the difference between a rich man and a poor man is what they do in their spare time. So I'm like, damn, I have all these books that I could read, and I'm heir to all this wisdom in these books already. Well, then I'm going to be an idiot if I'm choosing not to read something that is already given down to me and is heir to everyone else. And just from starting to really get into personal development and then, you know, really diving after books, it was after I'd actually quit football and baseball. I was recruited at Amherst College for 2 sports. Amherst College is like like a small Ivy liberal arts school in Western Massachusetts. And I was just like, I'm never going to be in an intellectual hub like this again. My passion is to inspire others to become the best version of themselves, create things that matter. I have all this knowledge. I have all this opportunity around me. It's my obligation to kind of go back and help, because, you know, it really came in a moment of enlightenment where it was just really believing, you know, if you are not helping others become the best version of themselves, create things that matter, facilitate their own genius, lead with love, you know, and you're indirectly doing things to keep them weak, in my opinion, you know, indirectly or directly and intentionally harming them is the same thing. And once we kind of had that harsh divide of either you're intentionally helping, you're intentionally empowering, or even by like that bystander effect, you're just as bad as somebody that's actually having their hand on it. So that was really the birth of Leave No One Behind, and that like obligation piece about 3 years ago now, where it was just like, damn, like we know this truth. Like we're going to feel like frauds. We're going to feel fake if we just kind of stand by and watch. And now, you know, knowing all this knowledge and kind of having, you know, that purpose, you know, and really that deep why and that deep sense of like presence, you know, and legacy creation.
Well, you know, and I think what you bring up there is a really good point. You know, I'm a former athlete myself, and you know, I played football and baseball in college as well, and then went on and had a short run at a professional career until I shattered my right ankle. And I you know, your story resonates with me obviously because I always knew I had a bigger purpose than just to play sports. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because most young people today are taught to go after these lofty, really huge, large goals, but aren't taught the basic principles on how to create the steps needed to walk those paths. And I think something for you that I want our listeners to really take, and then I want you to elaborate on it a little bit, is that you understood while chasing a passion of sports that there was a bigger purpose wrapped around that. Mm-hmm. So for you, how important was it to know that, hey, I'm in this institution of education. I don't know if I'm going to have it again. I've got to take advantage. What were some things that you took advantage of immediately without being pushed, and what led you to just taking that initiative on your own?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I appreciate that. So it really had come from this question. Like, I had been wanting to play professional baseball. That was my thing. Like, top AAU teams, traveling across the country, driving like 150 to 200 miles a day just for practice, like 3 hours away to do tournaments. And this was a question. I was just like, you know, am I really trying to go pro? Because I had boiled it down to, and this is what I encourage the listeners to boil it down to this question. What would you do every day if money did not exist that would make you happy, satisfied, and fulfilled? If money did not exist, what would you do every day that would make you happy, satisfied, and fulfilled? And most people have an answer to that. And what they don't realize is that the thing that you would do for no money is the thing that if you start doing will make you the most money, and you'll feel the most aligned, and you'll have the most purpose. So for me, it came down to, I want to help others become the best version of themselves and create things that matter. And through meditation and self-reflection, I realized that when I was 5 and 6 and I said I want to go pro, it was more so looking at the influence of guys like Derek Jeter and Mike Piazza and, you know, big guys in baseball, you know, and just saying, wow, look at the influence that these guys have. I understand influence. I understand respect. I know that I want to have a message. And when you're influential, when you're great at sports, you can have a voice. And imagine what these guys could be doing with their influence if they had a message. That's what I thought to myself when I was young. And then I realized, you know, now I'm like, you know, 19 or 20 at this point. Well, you know, I'm starting to realize entrepreneurship. I'm starting to realize social media. I'm starting to realize other things. I'm saying, hey, you know, there's other avenues where you can be influential. It doesn't just have to be professional baseball. And the question was, you know, what's my major league talent? That's really what it was. What's my major league talent? And I was like, it's got to be my brain. You know, my brain's got to be my major league talent. So that drives everything. So that really was like me really diving into just really getting after it. And just from that fire and fuel, dude, I was just like on some next level thing. I was like at the lowest bottom, just started, like 19, dropped all my friends, bro. Like I just quit football and baseball. So I'm sitting by myself at lunch. Like I'm just like reading books, lunch, in and lunch, out of lunch, I'm like that rogue dude that's from New Jersey. I'm in Massachusetts, kind of like at a preppy white privilege school, just off rogue, and I just created something called Leave Normal Behind. People are looking at me like I have 3 heads. Like, they don't think we're going to be able to put it together. Dude, it's just, people have that like ready, aim, fire approach, right? You get ready, you start aiming. It's like you have a sniper rifle and you want to get like the most perfect font, and you want everything to be great and the best color, and but what ends up happening is you get that paralysis by analysis, and that's what I'm realizing in the startup space, and really what Leave Normal Behind is all about is that ready, fire, aim method. Like, get ready, start firing all over the place with the machine gun, and each time you shoot a bullet, you'll know how to get better. The more bullets you shoot, you'll know how to get better. So, and Grant Cardone gave me this great quote, and he's a friend, and he's somebody that says, those that know you will start to follow you when those that don't know you begin to admire you. So that's like, in the beginning, everyone's going to talk shit anyways. The people that know you, the people that are close to you, the people on the football team, everyone around me intimately, catching shit from my parents back home, like, it's just everything, that immediate bubble that you start feeling, those that know you will start to follow you when those that don't know you begin to admire you. So start doing shit that people that don't know you care about faster.
Well, and when you think about entrepreneurship too, what you're bringing up is, it's very simple. The reason why entrepreneurship, true blue entrepreneurship, not these, Gary Vee says you're not an entrepreneur if you got a full-time job, right? What he says is that the reason why it's such a small knit community when you think about the 7 billion people population is because when you start entrepreneurship, first you get doubt, then you get attention, then you get appreciation, and then you get love, right? There's those layers. Mm-hmm. And by the time you get to the love stage, it's the people that are really rocking with you, bro. And so, but my man Derek Jeter, you bring up Derek Jeter, I'm gonna take it to the street. Man, my man Derek Jeter is my man. And he says this. He said, you don't just play to go to the World Series. You play to win the World Series. And what you decided early on was that your World Series was information, was knowledge, was understanding how you had to leave normal behind in order to reach your true potential. So you talk about books and how it really challenged you and how it really forced you to step out of normality. Mm-hmm. What is there a certain book that stands out to you as like the book that just created all this, or mm-hmm. is it a series of books that helped guide you to, man, honestly, at 23 or 22, jumping on the scene in a major, major way?
Thanks. I think the best way that I could sum it up that's really helped me read books, and I probably read maybe 100 books around now, not as much as some other people I know, like people that are really getting after it, and still now I speed read, but in 2017, it's like I feel like I have so much information, I really want to just start taking a lot of action, because, a lot of millennials foolishly read a lot and think that knowledge is power. And that's not completely true. Applied knowledge is power. Knowledge is just worthless if it's not applied, and that type of information overload that people get. So I think of books as like an espresso shot for the mind. And you need to look at them as like vitamins. So I don't think that it's one book particularly. However, I think to be like wise and be a Renaissance man, you need to be cultured. So there's a stat that I read somewhere that was like, if you read the top 3 books in any category, the top 3 best-selling, just the top 3 that you can find through Google, more than 80% of the population just in that category, just from the top 3 books, So you don't need to read the most books. You just need to be well-read. And there's a big difference between reading a lot and being well-read. So I would say there's like a concoction of 5 books, financial management, like spiritual thinking. So I can name some for people that I really think if you could get, these 5 books down, you'd be in a great place of just being well-rounded enough to, be pointing in the right direction, be purpose-driven, know that you're infinite, and also learn how to manage people. So the first one, which was huge for me in the very beginning too, managing that kind of like initial resistance to people with your big idea, was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Gotta read it. And that's also for you young guys too, reading books, reading these pivotal books is sometimes the only thing that you can have in common with these multimillionaires that you want to meet. When you're unproven, when you haven't really done something, the thing that you can relate to these 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old guys or women that you want to mentor you or you want to like work with is the information that you guys have shared, because then you're immediately kind of credible because it's like, oh, that person read How to Win Friends and Influence People. I already have a different perception on the type of information in their brain because there's like pivotal books and these books I'm giving you guys are like true gold. You got to read them 3, 4, 5 times because there's just fundamental truths and principles. And if you just get these simple things down, like simple principles can really get you a long way. You know, you don't got to complicate it. You know, I always say like the biggest complexity in life is realizing how simple it is. You know, so How to Win Friends and Influence People. It will teach you how to manage in the best way. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. Got to read it. You got to start with why. He says in that book, basically, you know, leaders lead from in into out, and other people are outside in. You know, and a real way that you can be inside and out and be charismatic and be a true leader is having a strong why. The Man Who Tapped the Secrets of the Universe by Glenn Clark, 50 pages. One of my mentors, his name's Jeff Carlisle. He had told me to read this. It was $2 on Amazon, this book. Got to read it. And then The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. Classic book. Got to read it. And then like Think and Grow Rich, you know, by Napoleon Hill, or the Magic of Thinking Big, or you know, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. Just something that's going to get you into that law of attraction, quantum physics, like mind expansion. Because if you can manage people, you can lead with a purpose, and you can think really big, you really are well equipped to just like start creating something, you know, like those are like cool fundamentals to have.
You know, guys, and check this out, man. My man Rob, man, he's 22, 23, right? Most 22 and 23-year-olds.
Yeah, 23.
So 23. Most 23-year-olds I know are still out seeing how many shots they can buy at the bar. My man's talking about 5 books to change your life. And so we're going to have those up on our show notes at IamMattCrane.com as well. So for those of you that are listening and you want to make sure that you know where to get those books and you want Rob's recommendation on 5 books to read, we'll have those up on our show notes. I want to throw a bonus book in there. Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is a strong book, and something that I would definitely suggest as well. But, you know, you're just coming off the heels, man, of a pretty solid, awesome event that Leave Normal Behind, their first live event that they just put on. You know, talk to us about that experience, what it was like kind of creating that event, and how exciting the energy of that night was for not only the Leave Normal Behind brand, but the people that you empowered and impacted during the night's festivities.
Yeah, so we just threw a New Year's Eve party of about 5,000 or 6,000 people at Utah Valley University at the UCCU Center. So, dude, it was awesome, bro. Like I promoted when I was younger, and I wanted to do the DJ thing for a little bit. And then initially I thought, why am I going to try to DJ again, just to have a message? The power of like getting people with music and just there in the moment to like deliver positive messages is just the way you amplify, the way you create culture, the way you get people to word of mouth, grow grassroots movement. You need to give them a place to gather, and talk face to face and have an experience. So, throwing events is so powerful, for that transformation to happen. So 3 years ago, it was like, we want to throw these concerts. We didn't know how to do it. This year, I partnered up with one of my buddies, Cal Richin, he's 19 years old, also, part of the founders crew. And he had been throwing parties in Utah specifically for about 3 years now. His first party, he was like 16 years old. They threw a house party, Project X style, like 500 people came out for this 16-year-old birthday party. Then like 4 months later, some other person says, Cal, I want you to throw my 16th birthday party. He's like, what? He throws a 500-person house party in Utah because they have all this land, so they could throw these big parties. And then he was, got asked again. So 17, 18, he was throwing these events. Last year, they'd thrown a couple 1,000-person party for New Year's, where this year, and this is the power of collaboration, guys, and seeing how like you can manage multiple interests. So for Leave Normal Behind, there was a bunch of great partners in Utah, guys like Dan Sway's people, that they already had the venue, the UCCU Center, was this big arena, the convention center. You know, and we were like, yo, we got to do this big. Like, we're moving out from what warehouses. Let's put this in the convention center. So the guys with the contract, Dan, they already had signed it last year. So, you know, one of the quotes we live by with Leave Normal Behind is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. You know, so we approached Dan. We're like, yo, bro, you're going to throw a couple 1,000-person party. We're going to throw a couple 1,000-person party. Let's partner up on this, as opposed to having two competing parties within the same area. That's not good, bro, because you're going to have this big venue. You know the amount of bodies that we can move in Utah. Let's just put this together. And also, guys, you have to realize the long term. So I'll be quite honest, because you know, we were really coming from the East Coast. They already had multiple partners on this venue. We had to take a much smaller payout. However, we were able to leverage our brand, and now we could rebrand the entire event as Leave Normal Behind. The amount of media that we were able to gather with videos, now we can use as sales collateral. It's the epitome of, like, guys, if you have work, do free work for 3 people. 3 people that you admire, do free work for them and crush it. Get case studies, get testimonials, help someone out for free, because then you can use that now as sales collateral to start bringing in more revenue or whatever it is that you're looking for. So for us, you can't be short-sighted. You can't, you know, imagine if we were like, no, we want more money on this one deal, as opposed you can look at multiple deals that can happen. You know, so now what we were able to do is we got the venue because we partnered with them. We still promoted, we got paid, and we were able to name it Leave Normal Behind. It was UVNY-LNB, Utah Valley University, or Utah Valley New Year's Leave Normal Behind. There was rock walls, we had like inflatable bounty houses, people were jumping all over. And the Leave Normal Behind ethos is really, you know, a not normal production. We want to get into we'll get into virtual reality, augmented reality, 5 senses, lasers, lights, LEDs, like multiple types of events, from like small 25-person masterminds, wellness retreats with like hotel groups. We work with like Wyndham Group in Phuket, Thailand. We built a wellness retreat for them. Then we can get into these big concerts where the whole idea is a not normal production, but a place of gathering for purpose-driven people where they can become the best version of themselves, create things that matter. That's it. It's dope-ass production. It's not normal. Leave Normal Behind production. Get cool-ass sponsorships. And the type of people we want there are just purpose-driven, people that are making an impact, people are, you know, talking about ideas, you know, and that's what we're going to really scale in 2017 is seeing, you know, we really had thoughts of making it kind of like a secret society type feel too, like invite only, referral only. Now it's like I'm starting to network in more of these groups. It's, you know, you can have the money, you know, there's a city gal I'm a host committee of. It's like the Grammy after party in LA. And I definitely want you to come there, Matt, too, is it's like $10,000 a ticket, but you have to have referrals or know someone. And that was like the first concept of me. I was like, wow, of how powerful that is, especially for a message of something so powerful, of like become the best version of yourself and create things that matter. Because that's really a lifestyle, you know, to like lead with love truly, you know, like lead with integrity truly, you know, like go after what your purpose for every day, you know, and kind of be evangelical about it. And that's something at this time, you know, we're still exploring, because that's one also thing is like when you have your purpose, you got to realize you're building a big thing, you know, and it's incremental. It takes time. It's not just going to happen overnight. So your brand will always be evolving. You should always be thinking of new things. Like, you know, like Matt, your podcast and your just personal brand has exploded, you know, recently, because you're always thinking about how can I get better. You're always looking for opportunities. And I think that's also something that like more of that like thoroughbred entrepreneur type is just like you can't kind of turn it off just because like I don't know what else I'd be thinking about. You know, I don't know what else I'd be doing, you know, if it wasn't like wrapped around this. And that's why I encourage people to really answer that question. What would you do every day if money did not exist that make you happy, satisfied, and fulfilled? Whatever that is. One guy told me it was fishing. Well, dude, you can go on Google right now and type in how to make money online fishing. You can sell Shopify. You can sell bait. You can make video tutorials. You can talk about the best places to fish. And you can fish all day long and do that. And in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. You know, and that's for all people alike. So Yeah, sorry to go on that little
No, no,
digression.
no. You know, the thing that I loved about that is that, you know, one of the things the Power Grit was built on is pure raw authenticity. So I love doing these interviews and being able to spark, you know, some things inside of our interviewees. And you know what, at the end of the day, not only am I going to benefit from it, they're going to benefit from it, and our audience is going to benefit from it. But you brought up something that I want you to rehash, man. It was a powerful quote. And it leads me into my next point, is that you said, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Is that what you said?
Yeah, yeah, and that's actually a Nelson Mandela quote too.
Right. So the cool thing that I like about that is that you are someone that also recognized very early the power of partnerships and the power of collaboration. You're a very big communicator. And so for me, how do you see in this very fast-paced, noisy digital marketing, online influencer campaign juggernaut that is 2016, now moving into 2017, where do you see collaboration being key for those that will make it or those that won't make it?
Well, I think it ultimately comes down to video. Like, there's just when you get to like social currency and really, you know, moving into 2017 of growing my influence and, you know, really wanting to take position as like the millennial thought leader, under 25 serial entrepreneur, and moving into an influencer myself, is people, it's just like a cognitive bias. People kind of give you credibility or know what you know based on who you're around. So when it comes to the online game, opportunities like this where you can repurpose media or pictures to show that you had a great conversation today, you know, or you see people at events. Again, you know, events are so great because you're able to get that FaceTime, you know, because it's, again, I'm like all about quotes, and, you know, that's why I think it's these simple truths, just really staying to simple principles, where some people say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's not entirely correct in my opinion, because what I believe is what you know leads you to who you know. Because you can't know who you know if you don't know what you know to talk about it with them, with who you want to know. You know, so that's something that's really important right there. And the collaborative portion of it is going to be, can you just align your interests? At the end of the day, it's like, you got to create first. You got to ask yourself the question, am I creating more than I consume? Because everyone wants to work with you. If at the end of the day, it is beneficial for them. Like, it's got to come down to like real tangible results. Are they going to get more traffic? Does it help their brand? Or even emotional ROI? Like, do I feel good about doing that with them? Like, you need to think, how can I align their interests and my interests? And books like How to Win Friends and Influence People really, really help you think about these things and show appreciation, give, you know, and then ask, you know, provide, and greatest salesman in the world, if you give more value than you take in payment, or that's actually The Go-Giver by John J. If you give more value than you take in payment, anytime you're in the store and something's more valuable and it's on discount, how quickly do you buy it? You move yourself out of selling it to someone and you move them into the position of buying it. So all you're thinking about is, I need to create more than I consume. I just need to find my passion, find my purpose, and start creating more around that, give more value to other people. Then you really put yourself in people as a buying position, buying into you. You know, once people buy into you, they'll buy into anything that you do. You know, so the collaboration, you can't really think about it as much as like, you know, how can I get from other people? But I've always thought about it as like, how can I increase my value so much that somebody wouldn't think I'm leeching as you scale up the social ladder? You know, how can I always also provide value where people want to meet with you? People want you in the room. They're not always like, oh, that person's always asking me for something. You know, they're also like, damn, I like to hang out with that person. They don't even ask me for anything, but we could both provide each other things because you're actually authentic. Like, you actually put in the work. You actually have something to provide. And I think that's when it comes to networking, is just like, increase your value, and the networking is easy. Like, if you want to network, just get better. You know, just get better, and people will start networking with you, as opposed to you having to feel it's the other way.
I love that. I love that. So, you know, Rob, as we begin to wrap up the show, you know, what's next for Leave Normal Behind? What you got planned, man? I know you got something big planned.
Hell yeah. So again, dude, in 2017, it's following that same mantra. You know, a lot of the things I say, I really follow myself, and it's create more than I consume, take action fast in the moment. You know, create more than you consume in the moment and take action now and be purpose driven. So for Leave Normal Behind, we're going to scale the events portion. We're going to have small Leave Normal Behind mastermind events where we get influencers, thought leaders, you know, from the rising millennial entrepreneur to the multi-billionaire, you know, and really, you know, people in music and fashion. You know, we're lucky to, with the Leave Normal Behind mantra, it's kind of fitting. So over the past 3 years, it's for the person that's just starting to leave normal behind, has just made the decision to become the best versions of themselves. They're starting to grow apart from people that don't grow. They're starting to realize their friend group and their family is kind of unsupportive. Then you move on to the next stage, which is that you're leaving normal behind every day. You're waking up, you're getting after it, and you're in a creation mode. And also, fortunately, it's also that Uber mentor that's already left normal behind and now wants to give back into a community of people that they see themselves in, you know. So having events that tailor to all those demographics is what's really important, and experimenting on how many different types of, you know, gatherings we can create, like a city gala we're intent to throw in New York City, another concert for sure. I would love to get like a wellness retreat somewhere in like Phuket, Thailand, or, you know, someplace exotic or in the resort where you can go and have a transformation, you know, for 7 days, and you do the nutrition, the cleansing, the juicing, the fitness, the personal development. You get a speaker, like, but you just do it in paradise, you know. So really exploring the events side of how these gatherings can facilitate and give people the experience to become the best version of themselves. And then in terms of the online game, really getting it more into video. I really could see ourselves having some type of Leave Normal Behind talk show or TV show. We're experimenting with some of our friends that are in Hollywood and do those types of things, but it has to be segmented. That's one of the things I'm learning. You know, it can't, as much as it's like raw and authentic, you also have to have an idea. Like when you look at The Profit, when you look at Shark Tank, when you look at Bar Rescue, when you look at $1 Billion Buyer, there is a way that they're shot that, you know, you can really give the idea. So the question is, how can you put that online in a way that will really give that message, which is, you know, pretty powerful when you're trying to get somebody so deeply aware. So just creating more online content with Leave Normal Behind videos, personal branding through writing like yourself, being a contributor. That's easy ways for people to start getting their voice out there. You know, find a place to write for and create more than you consume. You know, so that's really it, just scaling our online content to lead to the events, and, you know, really go after that in 2017.
That's awesome, man. I love that. You know, and dude, you're such an ambitious guy, and I'm pumped to see what you got going on. And you best believe that the power of great would definitely be behind what you guys and gals are going to be doing. So
anything I can do to support you, Matt, you know, I got you, bro.
Absolutely. So where can people find Rob, and how can they communicate with you and possibly, you know, inquire how they can either help Leave Normal Behind or get on, you know, a watch list for the events and things of that nature?
Right now, the best place to contact me, honestly, is right on Facebook. That's really where I like having the aggregate of the messages. I like the way that Facebook has that for me to get them to. So my Facebook is Rob Fajardo, ROBFAJARDO. And that's really the place that I'd want to send people, is right on my Facebook. I'm all about authenticity too, bro, transparency and everything. And that's really where you're going to see everything I'm about. You're going to see everything right on my Facebook page. So yeah, that's really where I'd like for people to communicate me with, if they'd like to inquire, and more so, like, just check out some of the content, you know, and get an opinion on it. You know, that's really the most important thing.
Well, you know, and guys, before we wrap it up, I want to be very transparent here. Rob is a very talented cat, but he's also a humble guy to be so early, and he has partnered and positioned himself around key people, and he's one of the most coachable minds that I've talked to be 23 in quite some time. So I'm really pumped about what Leave Normal Behind is going to do, because I can tell that he's not just doing this to get famous. He's not just doing this to get noticed. He's doing this because he left normal behind, and he knows there's a lot of other young cats out there that don't have that outlet, and that's what he's wanting to create. So I want to be very, very transparent about it, is that I really like what this young guy's got going on, and that's why he's right here on the Power of Great podcast.
Oh, yeah, bro.
He recognized that his current situation was not his defining moment, and now he's going to step out and help you do the same by showing you how to leave your normal behind. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Fajardo on the Power of Great. Leave normal behind. You got to watch this cat. You got to watch his videos. You got to watch the content, and you got to go to influencer.com, Huffington Post, Hustle Time, and check out his articles and all the great things he's doing. He's leading millennials in a whole nother direction, and I'm super proud of that. And like I do every single week, I leave you with this. Success is not measured by what you step out of, rather by what you are truly committed to step into. And I thank you guys and gals every week for allowing me to be your host right here on the Power of Great.